Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Om Vishnupad Brahmhamsa Parajikacharya Ashotara Shata His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Om Vishnupad Brahmhamsa Parajikacharya Ashotara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Srila Prabhupada ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Mayapur Dham ki, Ganga Mai ki, Yamuna Mai ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Tulsi Devi ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Ratha Yatra ki, Samaveda Bhaktarinda ki, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Jagannath Swami ki jai, Jagannath Ratha Yatra ki jai. So this is a quotation in Preaching is the Essence. This is from Madhya Leela, chapter 19, text 135. For 10 days, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed at Prayag and instructed Rupa Goswami, empowering him with the necessary potency. Srila Prabhupada's purport. This is a confirmation of the statement, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan. Unless one is specifically empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement. An empowered devotee sees and feels himself to be the lowest of men, for he knows that whatever he does is due to the inspiration given by the Lord in the heart. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. That's Bhagavad Gita 10:10. To be empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one has to qualify himself. This means that one must engage 24 hours daily in the loving service of the Lord. The material position of a devotee doesn't matter because devotional service is not dependent on material considerations. In his earlier life, Srila Rupa Goswami was a government officer and a grihastha. He was not even a brahmachari or sannyasi. He associated with malechas and yavanas, but because he was always eager to serve, he was a qualified recipient for the Lord's mercy. A sincere devotee can therefore be empowered by the Lord regardless of his situation. In the preceding verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami has described how he was personally empowered by the Lord. He further states in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-187, Iha yasya Hare dase karmana manasa gira nikhila swapyavastastu jivan mukta sa uchyate. A person acting in the service of Krishna with his body, mind and words is a liberated person even in the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities. To keep oneself free from material contamination and attain the Lord's favor, one must be sincerely anxious to render service to the Lord. This is the only qualification necessary. As soon as one is favored by the mercy of spiritual master and the Lord, one is immediately given all the power necessary to write books and propagate the Krishna consciousness movement without being hampered by material considerations. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So today is Jagannath Ratha Yatra in Daytona Beach. The bus is not going. There is 12-seater van is going, and it's already full. So if anyone would like to go, you have to find your own ride there. And you can call Bhadra Prabhu. He can give you directions how to get there. And we have today's class will be given by Deena Bandhu Prabhu, who is visiting, and it's on Chaitanya Charitamrita. And here are the devotees who have assisted their Guru in dressing the deities today. Shri Shri Radhesham were dressed by Raghunath Das, Chota Radhesham by Leela Devi Dasi, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram by Panchali Devi Dasi, Chota Krishna Balaram by Madhuri Gopi Devi Dasi, Shri Shri Gaurnitai by Sarala Devi Dasi, Chota Gaurnitai by Shri Vrindavan Devi Dasi, and the Gurus and Lord Nrsingadev by Rasa Rasika Devi Dasi.
Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Sodanandana Prajana Ranjana Sodanandana Prajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vana Jarina Jamuna Tira Vana Jari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Sodanandana Prajana Ranjana Sodanandana Prajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vana Jari Jamuna Tira Vana Jari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Sodanandana Prajana Ranjana Sodanandana Prajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Yamunadira Banachari Yamunadira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Nityalila Vishnu Musapada Divine Grace Lacy Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Samstapakacharya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Vishnu Musapada Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananda Guri Vaishnavrinda Ki Sadgoswami Prabhu Ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sri Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Bolo Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Sri Sri Krishna Baldao Ki Jai Go Premanandi. All glories to the Assembly Body. All glories to the Assembly Body. All glories to the Assembly Body. All glories, all glories, all glories. Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Dvaita Chandra. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 9, beginning with text number 74. Siyali Bhairava Devi Kari Darasana Kaveri Ratire Aila Sachira Nandana. After visiting the temple of Siyali Bhairavi, another form of goddess Durga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi, went to the bank of the river Kaveri. Purport. Siyali Bhairavi is located in the Tanjore district, about 48 miles east of Tanjore city. There's a celebrated temple of Lord Shiva there, and also a very large lake. It is said that one small boy, a devotee of Lord Shiva, came to that temple, and goddess Durga, known as Bhairavi, gave him her breast to suck. After visiting this temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the bank of the river Kaveri via the district of Trichinapalli. The Kaveri is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 5, verse 40, as a very pious river. So we're reading about Lord Chaitanya traveling to the various holy places. So here he visited Siyali Bhairavi, another form of goddess Durga. Go Samaji Shiva Deki Aila Veda Vana Mahadeva Deki Tanre Karila Vandana. The Lord then visited a place known as Go Samaj, where he saw Lord Shiva's temple. He then arrived at Vedavan, where he saw another deity of Lord Shiva and offered him prayers. Purport. Go Samaj is a place of pilgrimage for devotees of Lord Shiva. is very important and located next to Vedavan. Amrita Linga Shiva Deki Vadana Karila Sabha Shiva Lae Shaiva Vaishnava Haila. Seeing the Shiva deity named Amrita Linga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his obeisances. Thus he visited all the temples of Lord Shiva and converted the devotees of Shiva into Vaishnavas. So it's very interesting. Sometimes we're over-fanatic about visiting temples of anything other than Krishna or Vishnu. Here we see Mahaprabhu visited Bhairavi temples and Shiva temples. In fact, in Marari Gupta's Karacha, I'm not sure what temple it was, but Mahaprabhu entered one Shiva temple and he spontaneously wrote, or not, I can't say wrote because he was speaking it, but he spontaneously made a prayer to Lord Shiva called Shivastakam. Now we always heard from, as a young devotee, that Mahaprabhu only wrote 8 prayers of Shikshastakam. But according to the histories that our dear godbrother Dathara Sutta has dug up, in Murari Gupta's notebooks, it describes this Shivastakam, 2 prayers of which I memorized by heart. First one is very nice. Second one, you'll understand why it's my favorite of the 2 verses. I can't remember how it begins. Maybe it's Sri Krishna Narayana Vasudeva Ityadi Nama Mritapanamata Sri Rama Govinda Makunda Sori, that's it. Sri Rama Govinda Makunda Sori, Sri Krishna Narayana Vasudeva Ityadi Nama Mritapanamata Bringadi Payat Kila Dukkha Hantare. In this verse, Lord Chaitanya refers to Lord Shiva as Akila Dukkha Hantare, as the person who removes the sorrow of the whole world. Akila Dukkha Hantare. How is he able to do that? Sri Rama Govinda Makunda Sori, Sri Krishna Narayana Vasudeva Ityadi Namamrita Panamata. In Sanskrit, Adi means etc. All of these names, Sri Rama, Govinda, Makunda, so he's chanting all these names. Ityadi, all etc. Many more names of Krishna. Not that he's chanting, actually, Ityadi Namamrita Panamata. Panamata, he's absorbed in relishing Namamrit, the nectar of all of these names. How? Bringadipa. Like the king of the bumblebees. He's relishing all of this nectar like the king of the bumblebees. Just like we see after Tulsi Puja, all the devotees sit down, they're just like little bumblebees, relishing the nectar of the name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Just like little bumblebees. But here he says, Bringadipa, the king of the bumblebees. Actually, this example is given that the lotus flower has a special type of nectar. We know the bees, they like nectar. They go to the flowers to get nectar. But the lotus flower has got a special type of nectar we call makaranda. And that nectar just makes the bees mad. So this Mahamantra is like makaranda. It just makes the devotees mad. In fact, maybe you've heard how sometimes the bee, he's drinking that nectar so much. And those who've been in Prika with me, you know that when it's nighttime, all the lotuses close. Because the lotus is a friend of the sun. Deena Bandhu Nandini. The friend of all the lotus flowers is the sun. So as soon as sun goes down, all the lotuses will close. And sometimes it is found in the morning, the bee is there dead. Actually, he knows, he sees the lotus closing, but that nectar is so sweet, he goes on drinking and drinking and drinking. That lotus closes, he doesn't care, he's going to die. That nectar is so sweet, he goes on drinking and drinking and drinking. And he dies. So in the same way, we have to relish the nectar of the holy name of the Lord. That nectar is so sweet. We want to come to that stage where we can realize that it is so sweet, that even death will come before us. We don't care. We just go on chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Sri Rama Govinda Makunda Sori, Sri Krishna Narayana Vasudeva, Ityadi Nama Amritapana Mata Brigadi Payaki Laduka Andre. Because he's relishing that nectar of the holy name, therefore he's able to remove the sorrows of the people of the world. Now the next one, Sri Gauri Netrotsava Mangalaya Tat Prananathaya Rasa Pradaya Sarasa Mudkanta Govinda Lila Gana Pravinaya Namostatuvyam. Sri Gauri Netrotsava. Netra we know means eyes, and Utsava is festival. And Mangal means auspicious. He's the auspicious festival for the eyes of Gauri. When Gauri sees her husband, it is a festival for her, an auspicious festival for her eyes. Sri Gauri Netrotsava Mangalaya Tat Prananathaya. And he's the Prananath, the Lord of her life. Rasa Pradaya. And he's the giver of ras. How he's giving ras? Shri Gauri Netrotsava Mangalaya Tat Prananathaya Rasa Pradaya Sadasa Mutkanta Govinda Lila Gana Pravinaya Namostatuvyam. Sada, just like we sing in Tulsi Puja, Tada means always. Some Utkanta, just like this is called, Kanta means a neck, so this is called Kantimala. Sometimes devotees say Kuntimala, but it's actually Kantimala, because this goes around the kant, the neck. So Utkanta, sometimes our enthusiasm bubbles up to the neck. So that is called Utkanta, means very enthusiastic. Sadasa Mukhanta, with great enthusiasm, what is he doing? Govinda Lila Gana. He's singing Govinda Lila with great enthusiasm. Pravina. Maybe you know some devotee named, or some Indian person named Praveen. Praveen means expert. He's very expert in very enthusiastically reciting Govinda Lila. Sarasamukanta Govinda Lila Gana Pravinaya Namostatuvyam. I offer my obeisance to that Lord Shiva. So by hearing this verse, you can understand how of the two, this was my favorite. Sarasam Tigori Netrotsava Mangalaya Tat Prananathaya Rasa Pradaya Sarasamukanda Govinda Lila Gana Pravinaya Namostatuvyam. It's Shivastakam that's found in Murari Gupta's Karacha. And you can find it in a book from Dasara Sutra from next. Huh? Yeah, I only learned those two. They were so. Yeah. Murari noted them down somehow or another, but it's the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spontaneously created the Shivastakam. He entered some in Shiva temple in South India. There's a whole book of Dasara Sutra called Poetry of Mahaprabhu, where you find so many things that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that are ascribed to him, besides just Sikshastakam. Yeah. So anyway, we'll continue the tour of the holy places. Devastani Asi Kaila Vishnu Narasana Sri Vaishnava Navera Sange Tahan Gosti Anukshana. At Devastan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Vishnu, and there he talked with the Vaishnavas in the disciplic succession of Ramanujacharya. These Vaishnavas are known as Sri Vaishnavas. So we know that there's 4 main Vaishnava disciplic successions. One coming down from here, this is from Lakshmiji. Sri means Lakshmi, so these are called Sri Vaishnavas. Then there's one coming from the 4 Kumaras, that is Nimbarka Sampradaya. Then there's one coming from Lord Brahma, that is Madhva Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Sampradaya. And one coming from Lord Shiva, that is the Vishnu Swami, what do they call it? Rudra Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya. See, here Mahaprabhu has talked with the Vaishnavas in the specific succession of Ramanujacharya. Actually, Mahaprabhu took something from all of these, because we know we're following this Achincha Beda Ved Tattva. So he took something from all of the different sampradayas. So especially Sri Sampradaya, they're very much into service, feeling themselves as servants of the Lord. So Mahaprabhu also relished the association of the Sri Vaishnavas. Kumbhakarna kapale deki sarovara Shiva Shetri Shiva deki Gauranga Rasundara. At Kumbhakarna Kapala, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw a great lake and then the holy place named Shiva Kshetra, where a temple of Shiva is located. Purport. Kumbhakarna is the name of the brother of Ravan. At the present moment, the city of Kumbhakonan is situated 20 miles northeast of the city of Tanjore. There are 12 temples of Lord Shiva located at Kumbhakonan, as well as 4 Vishnu temples, and 1 temple to Lord Brahma. Oh, this is interesting. Shiva Kshetra, within the city of Tanjore, is situated near a big lake known as Shiva Ganga. There's a large temple to Lord Shiva there known as Brihatishwara Shiva Mandir. Brihatishwara, he's the great Lord. It's like in North India they say Maheshwara, here it says Brihatishwara. Brihatishwara Shiva Mandir. Papanasani Vishnu Kaila Dara Sana Sri Ranga Kshetri Tavi Karila Gamana. After visiting the holy place named Shiva Kshetra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Papanasana, and there he saw the temple of Lord Vishnu. Then finally he reached Sri Ranga Kshetra. Purport, according to some, the place known as Papanasana was located 8 miles southwest of Kumbhakonan. Others say that in the district of Tinabeli, there is a city known as Palamakota. 20 miles west of there is a holy place known as Papanasana, near the river named Tamra Parni. Sri Ranga Kshetra is a very famous place. Near Trichenapalli is a river named Kaveri, or Kolirana. A city known as Sri Rangam is located on this river in the district of Tanjore, about 10 miles west of Kumbhakonan. The Sri Ranga temple is the largest in India, and there are 7 walls surrounding it. There are also 7 roads leading to Sri Ranga. The ancient names of these roads are the road of Dharma, the road of Raja Mahendra, the road of Kula Shekhar, the road of Alinadana, the road of Tiruvikrama, the Tirubidi road of Madamadi Gaisa, and the road of Adya Iyavala Indana. The temple was founded before the reign of Dharmavarna, who reigned before Raja Mahendra. Many celebrated kings like Kulashekara and others, such as Alabandaru, Alavandaru, resided in the temple of Sri Rangam. Yamunacharya, Sri Ramanuja, Sudarshanacharya, and others also supervised this temple. The incarnation of the goddess of fortune known as Goda Devi, who was one of the 12 liberated persons known as Divya Suris, was married to the deity Lord Sri Ranganath. Later she entered into the body of the Lord. An incarnation of Karmuka Tirumanga, one of the Alavaras, acquired some money by stealing and built the boundary wall of Sri Rangam. It is said that in the year 289 of the age of Kali, the Alovara, it's interesting, we know this is Alvar, but here it's Alovara, I guess it's the proper Sanskrit, of the name Tondara Dipadi was born. While engaged in devotional service, he became victim to a prostitute, and Sri Ranganath, seeing his devotee so degraded, sent one of his servants with a golden plate to that prostitute. When the golden plate was discovered missing from the temple, there was a search, and it was found in the prostitute's house. When the devotee saw Ranganath's mercy upon this prostitute, his mistake was rectified. He then prepared the thorn boundary wall of Ranganath temple and cultivated a tulsi garden there. There was also a celebrated disciple of Ramanujacharya known as Kuresha. See, Rama Pillai was the son of Kuresha, and his son was Vagvijay Bhatta, whose son was Veda Vyasa Bhatta, or Sri Sudarshanacharya. When Sudarshanacharya was an old man, the Mahavanas attacked the temple of Ranganath and killed about 1,200 Sri Vaishnavas, my goodness. At that time, the deity Ranganath was transferred to the temple of Tirupati in the kingdom of Vijayanagara. The governor of Gingi, Gopanarya, brought Sri Ranganath from the temple of Tirupati to a place known as Singha Brahma, where the Lord was situated for 3 years. In the year of 1293 Saka, the deity was again reinstalled in Ranganath temple. On the eastern wall of Ranganath temple is an inscription written by Vedanta Deshika relating how Ranganath was returned to the temple. So we know Ranganath, Sri Rangashetra is the seat of the Sri Vaishnavas, and amongst the acharyas, we know them as Alvars. Here it goes Alavara, but we know them as the Alvars, and these Alvars are very, very famous and wrote many, many books, and the histories of these Alvars are all very, very interesting. We've got one godbrother from Sri Sampradaya, I'm just now forgetting his name, who can tell, he knows all the stories, whatever I can remember from what he's told. There was, one of them is very important, is Tirumangai, mentioned here. This Tirumangai, previously he was a great dacoit. Now there was one Apsara, for some sort of offense, I can't remember the offense, she had to come down to the earth. And there was one Brahmin couple that had no daughter, and they found her near the well. The wife went to fetch water, and she found this girl sitting there crying, and she asked who she was, and she told her history, that she'd fallen from the heaven. They said, "We have no daughter, you can become our daughter." So they took her home and raised her as their daughter. And because she was from heaven, therefore she was exquisitely beautiful. So meanwhile, this Tirumangai, he was a great dacoit, and he was famous for attacking everybody on the path and stealing and all of these types of dacoity activities. So one day he happened to pass in front of the house of this Brahmin, and on the veranda, second floor veranda, this beautiful girl was walking. And he saw this beautiful girl, he immediately fell in love with her. So he approached the parents, that "I want to marry your daughter." And they said, of course they knew this was Tirumangai, the great dacoit. They were a little frightened, but they didn't want to refuse. So very tactfully they said, well, actually, she's not our daughter, so because we found her, so we don't actually have the right to give her away, but if she will accept you, this way they got out of their trouble. If she will accept you, then we have no objection. So he went upstairs and he told the girl that he wanted to marry her, and she said, first you have to become a Vaishnava. He said, what's a Vaishnava? He said, you have to go to the temple of Sri Ranganath and ask the head, I forget who the head priest was at that time, and he'll explain to you what is a Vaishnava. And you have to be, and he explained you have to have all the marks. As the Sri Vaishnava, they brand the symbols of the 4 symbols of Vishnu on the shoulders. So anyway, so he went to the head priest. The head priest also began to tremble. Tirumangai, this great dacoit, has come. So he became a little nervous. He said, I want to know something about this Vaishnava stuff. We said, well, the Vaishnava is a devotee of Lord Vishnu. So how does one become a devotee of Lord? He has to worship Lord Vishnu. All right, so how do I worship Lord Vishnu? And you have to chant the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You have to mark yourself. So, all right, so mark me already. So anyway, he became marked as a Vaishnava, so he went back, it's all right, now I'm a Vaishnava. He said, but first you have to feed 1,000 Vaishnavas a day for 1 full year. He said, now look, just tell me everything at once. Don't give it one by one. He said, all right, if you want to marry, first you have to feed 1,000 Vaishnavas for 1 full year, and you have to feed them nice prasad, and after feeding the prasad, you have to wash their feet, and you have to drink that water. Then I will marry you. So he got all his dacoits out. He said, you go bring me 1,000 Brahmins. Poor Brahmins are walking around the street. Are you a Brahmin? Yes, come here. And he sat them all down and fed them prasad. Before feeding prasad, he washed all their feet and he drank the water. And he was doing this every day. All the Brahmins of Sri Rangam, they were in fear of the dacoits. The dacoits would come and just grab them. Come, you have to come. We need 1,000 Brahmins. And every day he feed, Finally, he became so ecstatic from feeding Vaishnavas and drinking the water that had washed their feet that they gave up all their dacoity activities. In fact, they finally ran out of funds to feed the Vaishnavas. But by that time he was so ecstatic he forgot about marrying the Apsara girl. He was simply happy serving Vaishnavas. So he became so ecstatic serving Vaishnavas, he became one of the Awars. Since he had all these thieves, he used them to go out and do more thievery, and they built some of the walls of the... Maybe Radhikaraman knows more, but anyway, they built more of the walls of... We read about this, somebody built the 3rd wall. Anyway, I think he completed all the 7 walls. And anyway, there's so many... But the point was, Tirumangai, he was a very low caste person. He was a dacoit, but he became a Vaishnava. So he's very important for us because it shows that even if we have very low birth, by chanting the holy name and serving Vaishnavas, we can become free from our position and be elevated also to the position of a Vaishnava. Then there's another one here. What was his name? Tondara Dipari. He was a very incredible Vaishnava. He couldn't see anything that wasn't related to the service of the Lord. And every day he would pick flowers and he worshiped the Lord, and he would pick flowers in the special garden and pick tulsi and make garlands for the Lord, and he would worship the Lord. And if there was something that wasn't related to the service of the Lord, he was unable to see it. So there was one famous prostitute who was very proud of her ability to attract any man. Somehow, somebody better, you can't attract this fellow. So she watched his activities. She said, I'm going to this garden every day. So she stood between the bushes, but he couldn't see anything that wasn't related to the service of the Lord. So he was picking flowers. He came, nothing there for the service of the Lord, so he just went to the next. And that was a real insult, that he wasn't attracted by her beauty. Then she figured out that she's going to figure out how to make him fall down, whatever. So then she realized, she watched him every day, and she saw she learned all the songs he used to sing for the service of the Lord. So somehow or other, I can't remember exactly, but she began to sing all these songs every day, and he became attracted. And then one day it was pouring down rain, and she was singing the songs out. He was inside his hut, and she was singing all these beautiful songs that he used to sing, but in a very beautiful way. And somehow he invited her into his hut, and then eventually he became victim of her. So then, but naturally the prostitute wanted money, so somehow or other he had no more money to satisfy the prostitute, so then she was very happy. Now she brought him down to this level that he was, So then a messenger arrived at the door of the prostitute with this golden plate. And then everybody was surprised where, they assumed that this was this fellow Tomdirapati. Meanwhile, in the temple, they found out that this golden plate of Lord Rangakshetra was missing. And eventually it was found out in the prostitute's house, and everybody was amazed that to satisfy his devotee, even materially, Lord had brought this plate there. So then later, somehow or other, he became one of the very famous Alwars. Kuresha, I've heard the name, and I remember hearing one time Radhanath Swami speak about him, but I can't remember Kuresha so much.
Yeah, he spoke like a whole hour.
Yeah. But anyway, I always remember Tirumangai because this was one of the proofs that even if one is born in a very low-caste family, he can be rectified by chanting the holy name and serving Vaishnavas. So, what time is it? Should we leave some time for questions? And where's our Keshav? You can mark down the next verse is 80, I believe. Yes.
Prabhu, you mentioned in the beginning of the class, speaking about the nectar that the bees enjoy.
Yes.
And of course, the analogy of the swan extracting milk from a mixture of milk and water, I just wonder, how is that? Have you ever witnessed such a thing?
Well, personally, although I lived in India for 31 years, I've never seen a swan in India. Although all our scriptures are filled with examples of swans and Hansa and Hamsa Bahan and Paramahamsa. Actually, in Brijbasa, Paramahamsa means what we call a space case. When Brijbasa say, oh, Paramahamsa, it means a space case. But somehow it's there in the scriptures, so there must, Of course, I've also read article that what we think, the white ones that we think of swans is different from Hans. Hans is another type of bird that flies way over the Himalayas, very high. I read one article like that, but I never witnessed this, but somehow the sages have described this, so it must be somewhere. But I don't know anything about it.
He didn't know of any scientific
study to show that the swan can extract milk from the water. But
Where I did see swans was in Zurich, in Switzerland.
in Sweden, I saw swans that were huge too, and
Yeah.
really big, scary ones. I was shocked at first look. I said, "Oh, a swan! It's like bigger than like 4 foot off the water or something. Scary, giant swan." So all the waters, are they eating this Tirumangai? They sang, they composed poetry.
Beautiful poetry, yes.
So they have a record of all the
Yeah.
Kula Shaker is the most famous.
Yeah, we forgot to mention Kula Shaker.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a nice class. And about the Alachua, there's a 12 Alachua. And according to the scripture, they said the different paraphernalia, the incarnation of different paraphernalia of the Lord, they took incarnation as 12 Alachua in South India. And about Kuresh, he was what I heard from Atma Tatapu, I have his...
That's what I was trying to remember his name.
Yeah, and one very famous pastime I remember that he was serving Sripad Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya went to the Lord and he said, make sure that none of my disciples ask anything, and if they ask also, don't give anything. I don't want them to ask any material benefit or any boon or anything. And Kuresh went, and he asked that I want to go to Vaikuntha. They said, okay, that's permitted. He said, you want anything else? He said, yes, I want another 2 devotees. They are very, very much offensive. They are always making Vaishnava aparadha and everything, and they don't have any chance to go. So I want them also to go. Then Lord says that anybody connected with you, they all will go back to Godhead. Then right after that incident, he came out, he was so happy and everything. Then Ramanujacharya was thinking, what happened? What is the reason for happiness? So he came and he spoke to the Lord. He said, he just asked for the boon. He said, yes, he asked. I told you none of my disciples should ask and you should not give. What boon he asked? He said, he wanted to go back to Godhead, Vaikuntha. He said, then what else he asked? He said, ask about the 2 devotees. And then said 2 devotees, and then what did you say? He said, yes, they can also come, but anybody connected with Kuresh, they will all go. And immediately Ramanujacharya came outside of the deity room, and he was throwing his chadar uttari and jumping up and down, so happy, so happy. He said, then everybody saying, Guru Maharaj, what happened? What is the reason? He said, anybody connected with Kuresh, they will all go back to Godhead. And I am connected with as a guru, so I'll also go back to Godhead. So that was nice one.
Yeah, I know there's lots of stories about Krish, but I'm in North India, so I don't know this house so well. There's also some interesting story how Tirumangai got rid of all of his dacoits too. They were causing trouble, so I can't remember though. Somehow he got rid of all the dacoits. Yeah, that's right. He took them in the middle of the river and sunk the boat, and he walked across the water. He engaged I can't remember, they're all expert in something. One could climb walls, one could break picklocks, all had a certain, so with all that wealth he built the 7 walls, but then he didn't know what to do with these guys, so then he got rid of them all. Anyway, South Indian history of the Alachua is very interesting. Anyway, if there's no more questions, we can fall down at the very soft and wonderful lotus feet of that great personality who's given us Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita to rise. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai
time is the program?